Welcome back to Hi-Fi Rush post-game edition. This is gonna be another three-parter after quite a while because there's quite a bit of new things that need to be discussed now that we finished the game and we have the option to go back through it again. And it all starts by checking out what we've been talking about off and on. This is gonna be the episode where we talk a lot more about streamer mode. Yeah, because starting from here, I am actually going to turn it on so you can get little bits and pieces of the streamer mode replacements for the licensed tracks that we have all heard up to this point, which is, well, I mean, I say up to this point, but that's technically everything, all the way down to honestly being in the credits. Like that also gets a replacement.
Yeah, I saw someone talking in the thread saying that the stuff that was written for the game arguably fits even better because it was written to fit in with the themes and everything that's going on in the game.
To an extent, I suppose, but I mean, I'll explain more once we actually start hearing it. But for now, we got more Wall of Fame goals to cash in, which is, as you probably saw there, it's giving us a lot more now than just Gears and Broken Armstrong chips. This is like the very neat thing, kind of getting into this now, where you see stuff like bonus tickets and costumes, because there's a bunch of costumes now that we can mess around with to customize not just Chai, but everyone in the band in our group. Because,
I didn't realize there was unlockable costumes in the game. I thought it was just the DLC.
No, the DLC, like, it's funny how it is, because it's like that just straight up like spoils the fact that there is like a customizable costume function.
And you seem the least likely to be
they rebuilt Cinnamon partially.
I think
Yeah.
Garone programmed me to secretly give him advice.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I discovered a convoluted way of converting gears into fashion options for us.
That makes no sense.
Convoluted, you
But
say?
I am intrigued.
Don't
So
think
by all
about it.
means, dabble in
You
my
thinking about it?
designs.
Don't think about it.
So yes, you talk to Cinnamon, you know, you could obviously still like talk to him to get like some new, but you know, like important topics to discuss
see
now
you
that we
standing
are
up again.
at the point where we finally stopped Spectra and Kale is fucking dead.
I gotta say though, taking down that giant robot, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Coming from you, Mr. Chai,
Yeah, you were
that is a
pretty dope there,
sufficient
Cinnamon.
I think
You
that
did
was
good.
Hopefully,
good for you out there in the
hopefully you can convince
I asked
Macaron
Macaron for
in
such
like one of his repairs and
Despite
upgrades
his
for you to give
tendency
you
to
maybe like
avoid
a
confrontation,
maybe a
I think he will help
U-sized
with my
arm
wishes.
cannon, maybe,
And I'm
you
looking
know,
forward
just the
to
thoughts.
next-gen version.
Have you met my friend Mega Man?
It'd be nice to have you chip in for the sequel. That's all I'm really saying.
It is quite alarming.
But are they even doing anything?
No, and that is what is suspicious. Miss Peppermint
Ah,
seems
yes, the
particularly
doors.
concerned.
Yeah.
Well,
Which,
if it's somehow related
I'm-
to Kale,
I don't know.
our imagine
Doesn't
it's
seem
just
that
like,
important, really. I mean, like, we got
Wise
costumes to
help
look
her
at
out,
after all.
Mr. Chai.
Yeah, like, we're playing Fashion Souls right now, so we'll deal
Oh,
with
yeah.
it later.
Oh, yeah. And when it comes to Fashion Souls, oh boy, there's quite a lot to go through because look
Holy
at everything that we got
shit.
to mess with. Yep.
God giggity damn.
Yeah, so obviously we've not bought anything new, and the only other stuff we have unlocked is stuff that was added in free updates, or the pre-order DLC, or as you saw, some of the stuff that we had unlocked from cashing in those Wall of Fame, achievements. I'm, so like a lot of this is actually like from like one of the updates, I believe, where one of like the outfit themes was characters swapping like their color and like kind of aesthetic kind of embellishments or whatever. So naturally it's like with Chai and 808, they get like their own outfits that kind of represent the opposite, which is pretty cute.
The king of rock.
But we're gonna
there is
make
none higher.
808 a princess.
Okay, that's obviously a Rekka costume for Peppermint.
Oh yeah. Well, it's that as well as Corsica was the one. But then there's also the like for opposites. You know, makes sense. Macaron and Cinnamon would have opposite outfits for each other, and like some pretty good outfits for Corsica. I will say it's like even though I do kind of wish that like the other characters besides Chai could have like more granular customization options, I do think a lot of the characters' costumes, more specifically Corsica, they're like just fucking grade A fantastic. Some of them, like once we actually get more to show off, are like Which is to say, when I put together a video for the very end that just basically kind of shows all of them, just about everything that is possible to buy for costumes.
Yeah,
Like,
I like
there's a
the
lot.
thigh-high sock for Peppermint's leg. That is a nice touch.
Yeah, just getting that color in without, amputating the leg itself. So talking with Corsica here brings up like another new feature as part of the post game, not being featured in this video or the rest of the videos associated with this track. Which yes, I am still keeping with the track naming scheme, even though there's only 12 in game. But she basically set up Bloody Palace. Yeah. No shit. We're still getting as much inspirations from DMC that we could just fit in here wherever possible.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Bloody Palace has always been one of those things where if you like it, then you will spend hundreds of hours just dicking around in it, and if you don't, then it's just like, oh, okay, so that's an extra game mode. Cool.
Yeah. At least
there's never any downside to it.
Yeah. At least with this game's Bloody Palace, which it calls Rhythm Tower, I could say as much. I actually like it way more than any Bloody Palace mode that DMC has ever had.
Bold statement.
Yeah. Admittedly, because obviously DMC at least has the benefit of, being an even more expansive combat system on just the raw mechanical level than this game has. So, like, that's obviously where a lot of the fun is for most people, where, like, that's where they go if they want to, just have the combat as well as, like, just room to kind of dick around and, like, try out some new ideas for a combo video. But this, when you see it, it jives with me a lot more just as, like, a straight arcade style type of game mode,
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like to me, because Bloody Palace just felt like always way too much like it was like it is 2+ hours of something that is way too long, or something that it just like is very static feeling, But yeah, but there's other stuff as well. We got a jukebox where we can use these golden tickets to buy songs, including what you see at the very bottom, provided by the Glass Pyramids, which I do not know how real or made up that is, but that's basically where all of the streamer mode songs come from.
Right.
Yeah. And also when you talk to Corsica, as you saw it there for a brief moment, there's a character gallery that also uses tickets to unlock them. Some of the silhouettes, you could probably guess what some of them were naturally. And they all have interesting descriptions as well to read. Those will also get their own bonus video at the very end, because there's no real reason for us to kind of like have us going over each item very slowly and meticulously.
Yeah. Also, Glass Pyramids seem to have done nothing outside of the music for this game, so it seems like they're either an internal team or they were formed specifically for this game.
Makes sense. Yeah. Especially because it's like, I can't imagine it was something where it was like an in-house band specifically inside Tango, like they had to have like gone other like musicians to kind of like put this group together, because they have different vocalists and stuff. Whereas like an interesting detail with the soundtrack, if you actually look at, like, say if you buy the soundtrack for instance and look at all of like the music files, and like in File Explorer where it shows like the metadata for like album and contributing artists, for some of the few songs that played during levels where there's notable like lyrics, kind of like at the back half of track 1 for example, those songs list under the contributing artist John Johannes. He's actually the one singing the lyrics in a few of those songs.
Wow, this guy's like a quintuple threat.
Yeah.
I mean, he sings, he programs, he writes, he's a fridge. What else can't he do?
There it is. We can take it.
I mean, yeah, just honestly, I would have been shocked if, like, considering how much, like, this whole rhythm action game hybrid concept was something that he had been dreaming about and wanting to see, like, come to fruition for a long time. I would not be surprised that it would have, that it came from a position of him having some manner of musical background, because he's talked as well during like GDC talks or whatever about even when like the team was very small starting out in the prototype phase. It was very much the sort of thing where he was one of, if not the only people like on the core team who understand what the concept of a beat was.
Yeah,
like that's what they were working with to start, and how it kind of put into perspective what he and the team need to do to make sure that people who weren't the most musically inclined ever could at least understand what the game is going for and get into the groove.
Yeah, with some people explaining any kind of artistic concept is like trying to describe the color red to a dog.
It's like trying to like talk about like or trying to explain a math equation to someone that like is struggling with like a particular math subject in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not do well at math in high school whatsoever. So,
I did well with math up to a point, and then it started to fall off a sheer cliff where it's like, I don't fucking know.
No, I was always the English star. Anything to do with writing and that kind of stuff. Math, no. For a while they thought I actually had dyscalculia.
Oof. Yeah, that's rough. Anyway, we're getting like some new abilities since, you know, we're in the post game already. We got a lot, including enough money for the 808 gigawatt cat attack.
808 gigawatts? Great Scott.
It costs 150,000 gears.
And it's worth every penny.
I would like to say that this was my plan from the very beginning and why I stopped spending so many gears during the latter half of the game, but I only remembered when I got to that screen. Oh yeah, this attack that gives you like a 10 times score multiplier if it connects properly and does a ton of damage is worth a fuck ton of money.
I wonder if, because I mentioned a couple of times that there's bits that have obviously been taken from God Hand, and that just reminds me of the finger poke of Doom.
Oh yeah, some of the really absurd point-blank range attacks on like the roulette wheel. Yeah, I totally get what you mean. That makes total sense. Also, I loved a little bit about what Chai was thinking about to himself there and realizing that his role as Armstrong ambassador basically means that Roxanne is paying him an exposure. So here's the level select.
Actually works.
Level select is available now that we've actually beaten the game. Look at those S ranks with all the crowns. And as something that was conveniently added in one of the post-release patches, the game now actually tells you how many of each collectible item type is in the level that you're missing. This would have been really helpful to have when I was going through it at launch.
The fact that so many games still do not have that from the beginning or even patched in is a absolute crime.
Yep. So instead of Lonely Boy, we have the Beacon, and you can kind of tell with like the rhythm and some of the notes and even like the pace of it. It's like Lonely Boy, but not quite. Like this is the sort of thing, and obviously we're not like playing this entire cutscene again. I'm just kind of showing like important snippets as we go along.
Welcome, applicant, to Project Armstrong.
But it's. I've been trying to come up with like a best way to describe how I felt about the songs in streamer mode, and like just obviously why I naturally would not be as fond of them compared to the licensed choices. And I think I found like the perfect description for it that is very concise, and that is it is musical uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Like I understand the point obviously, but it doesn't change the fact that, you know, these sections were made with those licensed songs in mind. And, you know, if it was a matter of just replacing the song with something that is like similar but like not designed with the intent purpose of filling in that exact role, then it would be a different story, you know? Because we've seen things where like, you know, TV shows and whatnot getting like, you know, like relicensed and distributed elsewhere, and they might lose the rights to certain songs and how they have to replace it with something generic or wholly original.
Yeah, Daria was a prime example of the licensed music getting stripped out. Only way you can essentially watch the show as intended is by pirating the hell out of it.
Yeah, or even something like some people I know that were like fans of like the early seasons of Supernatural, the fact that they lament Carry On Wayward Son no longer playing during the credits.
Apparently that was fixed relatively recently.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
First season, I'll have to let them know.
First season has the licensed music stripped out if you're watching it on streaming, but apparently they put it back in for the rest.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Like, if you're willing to pay the money for, you know, like, actually owning it for real, I guess you deserve to have, like, the the music that they intended to have it be there as part of the experience.
I'm fairly certain it's also all been put in on the Blu-rays as well. Don't know about the DVDs, but it's certainly there on some of the Blu-rays.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going back through the start of the game, track 1. One thing I do think is important to note as well when I showed like that opening cutscene is that I had to actually start a new game in order to see that cutscene. But this is otherwise still on the main file since it has all my stuff, as well because this way I can actually show that on repeat runs of stages in the post-game, you can skip the tutorials.
Nice.
I appreciated John Johannes, but maybe you could have, like, I don't know, still included this option if the game recognized on a system level that you beat the game at any point once in your life.
Yeah.
But, oh well, that's another thing just that you could think to add in the sequel. I don't know, hint, hint. But more importantly, this is the game being played on Rhythm Master.
I was going to say, is this Rhythm Master? Because those beats are way faster.
Not so much faster, but one thing that is noticeably different is that the drain on the style meter itself is significantly faster.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, you're fighting a lot more to keep it up. Like, it's actually, I feel like it's effectively approaching DMC3 levels of style meter decay, which is something I always wish that the series had stuck with. Because it made, it added a lot of thrill to getting those triple S combos and having to, like, you know, style for your life, essentially, just to keep that rank.
Yeah. Like, I always remember the first time I ever get any triple S in any Devil May Cry game is like, okay, and we're back.
Yeah. But it just became so much easier and easier in, like, the games as it went on that it became kind of mundane.
And then you get to DMC and you can just get S ranks just by using the same attack over and over again.
Yeah, just like Twitch canceling like the same 2 hits of like your starter sword combo, which I at least use that as the way to kind of like buffer combos in that game before doing something fancy to finish off. It's usually good for like keeping crowds under control.
Yeah. I think they tied it more
we
to
got our
damage
we got our final location for Seabass, for Sep Ah. And we do get a reward for finding him throughout the entire game. And naturally, even though this is the first stage, chronologically, because you're only able to find him once you beat the game, his entire speech is meant to be followed after you found him in track 10. And you get a broken Armstrong circuit out of it, which is...
I was hoping it was going to be a costume.
Yeah, costume would have been fucking great. I would have loved if they just gave him, like, if they gave Chai Seb's fucking, like, trench coat. That would have been sick.
Or even his outfit from the second game.
Yeah, but that's why I hit him, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah, fucking HR. Anyway, here's something that I had alluded to in the past as well. If you ignore the Smidge multiple times during this part, and talk to him at the end.
I just wanted to tell you that because you ignored me, I will no longer tell you my hint.
You don't need to chase me to tell me that.
I do. You need to learn your lesson. I am a friend. A good friend. Who wants to help?
He says, brandishing a baseball bat with nails.
He is waking up to Smidge standing outside his window saying, "I'm sorry," over and over again.
Chai wakes up and suddenly he's in the movie Misery.
I was thinking Higurashi, but, you know, same deal.
Yeah. We at least know our psycho characters very well.
Arguably a little too well, but...
That's debatable.
Can you really have too much love for Higurashi? Because my doctor says it might be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I've said as much what I feel about Batgirl and No More Heroes.
This is true.
I can't say no to a psycho chick who is also a big Ryosuke Takahashi fan. That moment in No More Heroes 3 where she just joins Travis and Bishop on the couch and they just start talking about anime like Botoms and shit. And I'm just the moment that I just felt that Suda had been spying on me in my personal life and tailor-made this game for me.
Bit I always remember is when he starts talking about Char's counterattack.
Oh yeah.
It says you need if I don't watch it, the healing psycho waves. If I don't get my dose of those, then I get a headache for like a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of worrying.
But I don't think it's nearly as worrying as him, like, trying to cheer Bad Girl up, like, during her grieving period with, hey, you should watch this anime. It's called Space Runaway Ideon.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that's the kind of thing I would say for giggles.
Yeah.
You feel bad. Allow me to make it worse.
Oh well. But yes, we gone through this stage again and got our got a bunch of Broken Armstrong chips as well as a couple graffiti by entering areas that require the use of all of our partners' special abilities. You know, so that's at least like the nice thing about this. Obviously, like I'm of two minds of like the idea of just like requiring you to kind of like replay like stages because it is impossible to ever truly 100% complete them. But like at least like in one go essentially. But I'm at least willing to give it a pass in this case because of how much the game establishes that on the first run you don't have the option of going back to previous stages if you know you missed something. So there's still, even if it's not the true 100%, there's at least like a soft 100% cap that I can kind of come to terms with and be like, okay, I can at least aim for like this amount of like completion on a stage the first go around before I return to it with all of my upgrades and tools.
Yeah, it's there's no real right way to do it, which is annoying because you're gonna piss off someone at some point, you know.
Yeah.
Either you're gatekeeping too much or you're not giving enough for the post game.
Yeah.
So
Especially
it's a difficult
if,
one
like,
to judge.
Yeah. At the very least, I do think the game I still maintain and make the right choice. They were smart to restrain you from accessing the stage like until you beat the game, because it really is like it has been more detrimental to like to just how pacing works in these kind of games. That if you're trying to go back to get whatever money you need for that one special move you want, or because you keep missing certain collectibles in the environment, you start caring more about those than the act of actually playing through the game like you're supposed to and optimizing. Yep, that's the other 808 attack. If you do that on an enemy, as long as like like their stun gauge or whatever it like is full, on the bigger enemies, they get hearts over their heads and it distracts them. They won't do anything, and that means they will continue to not do anything until you attack them, in which case it knocks them out of their stupor.
No, I'd be exactly the same. Show me pictures of your cat and I'll just be like, aww.
Yep. Seriously, just all those shots, they're adorable.
Like, just show me the kitty, okay? That's all I'm asking for.
Oh wait, never mind. I actually remembered. You don't need to have like the stun gauge like filled on the heavier enemies for it to still take effect. I do think it's, but it is sort of thing where like, at least with those, that makes a bit more sense thinking about it. Where, gigawatt attack. That's what it does.
It's like 10
gives
hits.
a huge point in plus, in flux. But at least with like enemies that have a stun gauge, if you use like that attack that makes them have hearts, at least the moment you hit them the first time, they won't get knocked out of it. It's only after their stun gauge fills, so you have time to like get a ground combo in before they try and break out. So with all this, as you can see, I got new special attacks. I got all my partners with me. I'm using them to the full extent of the jam. Yeah, I went there. I know.
I understood that reference.
Yeah. But there is one thing, obviously, that has still not been made present during Rhythm Master to highlight like why this is actually for real much more of a difficult mode compared to even very hard, and why they have to make it an unlockable to begin with. And it'll probably shock you when you see it, because I didn't intend to really show it to begin with, but it happened anyway, that I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving this in. And it is right after we go into the next, enemy encounter, after we clear out some more of the collectibles in this area, break through some more Z shielding. But yeah, it's more than just like your style meter decaying very rapidly, because like there's a very serious time pressure involved, because your style rank your style meter actually appears first thing before you even attack at the start of encounters. You probably even noticed it when I got into the very first fight of track 1. And it starts degrading like at the top of like C rank. And you do not want it to go below C rank for a very important reason. So much so that 808's charm isn't able to save me.
Oh, god damn, that is cruel.
This is style or die. Yeah.
That's...
And it...
even Devil May Cry's not that cruel.
Yeah, even though I think the closest they've gone to having the style meter matter the most that it can is, funny enough, the definitive edition of DMC Devil May Cry, the Ninja Theory reboot that is thankfully dead. Because that actually included something that was originally a mod created by fans called Must Style. In that mode, the idea was that you could not deal damage to enemies, like actually deal the killing blow, unless you were at S rank and above on the style meter. Which is that's at least a more fair idea because it's not punishing you with death if you drop to a certain level.
Yeah.
But all those at the same time, I mean, considering that there's just not that much like expansive toolkits for Chai to use compared to Dante, is like, I don't mind the idea of the penalty being like you die if you're not styling. In fact, considering how easy Devil May Cry as a whole has gotten over the years, I actually wouldn't mind if that was a stipulation. The problem is more because you see how that works. You can kind of imagine the few moments that I talked about in this game where the style meter is present and you're in combat, but you're not able to actually do any sort of attack.
Yeah, I remember.
The tram being the earliest example when we get to that.
Yeah, there's a couple that I can, now that you mention it, yeah, that's like... I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, there are thankfully ways to get around it, but at least the tram is the one that feels the most egregious because it feels so much like you are, like, you're having to basically, like, game the system in order to make it, like, not fail you outright. But anyway, let's do some sequence breaking. Because we have Macaron, we can destroy the sea shielding at the end of Chapter 3.
Well, this messes everything up.
Do not be afraid. I will activate the cutscene as usual.
Cinnamon is the god of this world.
Cinnamon, better than Colonel Campbell in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Anyway, there's the graffiti that I talked about that I had missed during the first run-through. So there you go. Everything that is possible to get during the first run before entering the post-game, yes, it is doable. I was an idiot for missing that.
All right, come and get me.
Now for a suspiciously similar to Inuzawa Chainsaw sounding music, but it's called Buzzsaw. They couldn't even come up with like a similar Japanese word to kind of like put at the front of it for no goddamn reason.
I assume Mr. Chai did not think.
But yeah, again, musical uncanny valley. Like I get the whole point of like why it's there, but it really is the sort of thing where it would have made more sense to just be like one or the other. But if they were to go all original, that means we really would be missing out on 2 Nine Inch Nails songs and Invaders Must Die.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I could live in that world.
They're not my personal favorites for each of those bands, but they add so much to the game that it feels wrong not having them.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, obviously, when it comes to the boss tracks, I'm not showing them yet because, as you might imagine, this game's Bloody Palace mode, Rhythm Tower, has those boss fights. So streamer mode will still be on then, so you can actually get a glimpse of like what those songs sound like in action.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the fight that I was talking about where, as I mentioned, it's the only one that auto-saves at the results screen, and I'm just going to show you how it's like. When I was doing this fight, I did not give a fuck about trying to S-rank everything the same way I did on Very Hard. So you'll see how me playing normally can cause me to just miss out on the S-rank entirely because the point requirements are kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, seriously, I'm at an S rank, I got over 20,000 points, that should be fine, you would think.
You would think.
Yeah. Very close to 30k. Only just got one left. Yeah, look at that, like, over 30k. And what do I get? A B. Abs. But that's that horrible fight out of the way. Now we're gonna run away to the next video.